I said, did you want to be on the short stool?
But I can't spin in the short stool. You're just jealous. You wish you could spin on the stool.
Why would I? What? All right. So where we left off was the start of chapter 3. Well, Spinny here gets her discombobulated, recombobulated. We'll get into chapter 3. So we go from chapter 1, where we have one set of characters, to chapter 2. Now we go back to the first set of characters for chapter 3. Catherine's still shaking. She looks at the arcology from the outside aboard the shuttle. And it still looks normal from out here. There's no sign of all the bloodshed. Smell can't reach from this distance. But it's still stuck in her clothes and on her very personal being. So she takes up Tanya and her offer to use the shower and borrow some clothing. In her week or more of isolation, Catherine hasn't been around hot water, much less a shower. She just stands under the hot water and lets it run through her hair before cascading over her. Layers of dirt are cleaned off of her, but the stains one can't see will take more than this to wash away. The water is divine in her mind at this moment, and she could remain here indefinitely. She's on a small shuttle. Once she believes no one can... that's definitely the wrong word. Once she believes no one can harm her, and she's grateful for the shuttle, for artificial gravity, and for life itself right now. She thinks about the look in Jensen's eyes when she had been confronted by him minutes ago. This was not the man she fell in love with. That was a monster that had taken the place of the good man that she'd spent so much time with. The fact that so many people had gone crazy in such a small place scared her. What if there was a virus and she was a carrier? Her rescuers could have been exposed and they'd be going crazy next. She does reluctantly turn the water off once she's satisfied and that she looks and smells human again. Emerging from the shower, wrapping herself in a towel before she heads from the bathroom and into Tanya's quarters. In a small, sterile room where her clothes have been laid out for her that she feels may fit Catherine and suit her tastes. Right now, this room's heaven for a woman who spent a week in terrifying darkness, not knowing whether she was going to live or die. And I'm just saying a week because, sure. Of course, sure. I don't really establish the exact amount of time, but I went with, yeah, it's been a week, sure. Catherine sits on the bed and thinks about the hell she just escaped from. If someone had warned her about this before going to that arcology, she never would have believed it. After an experience like this, Catherine doesn't know where life could possibly take her. What kind of normal life could she have after witnessing something like this across such a wide area? She would likely need years of psychiatric help to get over it. There's a realization that Catherine isn't wanting to face. Now, in the pure silence of the moment, tears start to flow. Knowing that she is the last survivor out of a group of 500,000 is almost worse than being a victim. She's already wondering why she didn't go to help other people. Get other people to stay with her in her area of the ship. She wonders how many lives she could have saved just from her own level alone. Nearly 500,000 people had lost their lives, and the last one to die had been her ex-boyfriend, a man who only shared the name and body of the man she'd fallen in love with in what now seemed to be a lifetime ago. No matter how many times she goes over it in her mind, she can't fathom how a society can break down on such a level as this. She wonders what answers, if any, Mike and Tanya will find on the arcology. Their continuing investigation meant Catherine was left alone with her thoughts. And it was a mixed blessing. As she stands and looks outside the window at arcology 443, she can still smell death on her. She knows she showered. She knows she's clean. The mirror doesn't lie. She knows she's unable to scrub any harder with soap than she did. She nearly used an entire bottle of shampoo. The real smell has to be gone, as she did throw her clothing in the trash. They would have been ejected into space. I'm sorry for polluting space as much as I do in this book. I'd like to apologize to the vast depths of space for as much as I do with this. So they can't be the source of the stench she can feel around her. Another shower would be rather pointless and would actually cause her to potentially burn or otherwise damage her skin in a hopeless attempt to rid herself of this dreadful feeling that was actually more inside of her than anything else. She thinks about her career paths at this moment in her life. Her work at a lingerie store had been kind of forced on her as an alternative to her real passion. She wanted to work in security. Had even met Jensen on Earth working in security detail at a shopping center, but he wanted her in a safe job. He also felt that the two of them working together created a potential for conflict he had no interest in. She'd been okay with that at the time. Now she wondered what she could do. Now, after seeing all these dead bodies, could she just sell underwear to people? It's unlikely she could go back to anything being as it was before. A return to security detail was also likely out of the question until her mind had been fixed as well. Catherine finally tosses the towel aside and dresses in as normal of attire as she can find, since Tanya's mostly carrying uniforms and military-style clothing. There's a simple black sweater and blue jeans which fit Catherine well enough that she feels comfortable. She's starting to feel human, and then remembers the overwhelming hunger she had before the corpses and insane boyfriend started distracting her from her stomach. There's a small fridge in the tiny kitchen on the shuttle. This isn't made to be a long-term home. They only stow a week's food maximum on ships like this. Catherine's careful not to grab too much for herself. She finds bread to make toast and finds salad in the fridge that smells delicious, and she figures Tanya and Mike wouldn't mind her raiding the food. The fact she's hungry and eating is a minor miracle and a sign she'll bounce back. The fact the food's staying down proves to be an even better sign she's a fighter. She has to get her strength back up as she vows never to be caught in a bad position like this again. Besides, there's no guarantee that the danger's past, since she needs her energy in case a fight is still ahead for her and her new allies. Assuming that they're allies, right? Assuming they're not going to go crazy. So the next scene, Mike takes a deep breath. Through the mask's filters, the elevator reaches the observation deck. It is the one remaining area of the ship that has yet to be looked over. Tanya's at his side, but she stands slightly behind him as the door opens in case there's any psychotic killers waiting for them. That's a spelling error. I gotta fix that. Mike's experience dictates he is the one to be pushed to the front, though few know the full extent of his experience. He has an ability to maintain calm through training and past incidents that, once again, very few people know about. He has his suspicions of what's going on here, but he can't say anything yet. This is not the time. Mike's a little smarter than he looks on the surface. As he emerges into another heap of bodies which cover the glass floor, there are no killers awaiting them this time. Mike's actually relieved as he makes his way through bodies on top of bodies, but here the cause of death reads differently. He stops and scans one particular body. Okay, this just keeps getting stranger. Is that possible? She asks. These people were suffocated when this area was stripped of its oxygen. At some point, the air was actually allowed to escape, and these people died moments later. They share a glance before she says, "Your sabotage theory gains further credibility. We still don't have enough to report back with, though. We have to know who did what and why. Every other floor is filled with people who were murdered. These people were exterminated en masse." Mike sighs. "There's no way it ends here. The problem isn't a simple one." "Well, where did the rage go from here if it's not here anymore?" she asks. "Exactly the question on my mind. This arcology was wiped out. These people were killed in a different manner and appear to have had a time of death later than the rest," he says as he continues running through test results on his handheld device. Tony looks down at Mike's screen to verify the data. "So, everyone dies up there and the rest come down here to die? They climbed over and through bodies to come down here and await their deaths? It's a death too horrible to imagine at a time when mankind should be beyond genocide as a viable option under any circumstances." It generally is not a good option. If you're in a position you go, "I think genocide would fix this," probably not some healthy thinking. Probably crack a window. Mike takes a look at one man lying face up on the floor and runs a scan on him. There are burn marks on his chest. This man was shot. He died from that gunshot. Do you see anyone else here with a gun in their hand? Tanya does a quick visual scan, shakes her head. I don't see one, but there are a lot of bodies here. Are we going to have to go through all of them seeking a firearm? She knows the answer, just didn't want to admit it to herself. "Well, I have a metal scanner here. Since this room's all glass and high-strength plastic, a gun should be easy to find in the mass of dead people, as long as it's made of metal." Mike changes the medical scanner in his hand with the push of a few buttons and gives exact programming that Tanya doesn't see. He knows the weapon, which leaves these burn marks, and highly doubts it's still here. But he knows it is made of a high-grade metal, which his device will pick up. So again, he has information nobody else does. Tanya watches as Mike stands and scans outward and then slowly down towards the floor. The device buzzes and hums, but there are no noises which indicate it has found what it's looking for. As the device sweeps the room, Tanya breathes a sigh of relief, though she isn't sure why. "So it's not here." Mike shakes his head. "No, it's not here. I've seen these burn marks before. What this weapon does is literally cook you on the inside. You're dead before you hit the ground and fit for serving at a feast if the killer's so inclined."
Okay.
Isn't that nice? Cooks you on the inside. Nice. "How graphic. Thanks for putting my mind at ease as if it wasn't messed up enough already. I don't understand why you don't just blast a hole in the glass floor and let them all get sucked into space. They wanted a big production with all these people killed at once. They didn't want to make a spectacle of it, Tanya. That's just it. This is meant to look like a mass suicide. It's a diversion. Again, this is not over. I don't want to lose any more arcologies to this kind of thing. Someone somewhere is going to great lengths to destroy the human race," he says. "Well, there are those who don't like the arcology solution to the population issue, so we can't say all of humanity's in danger. That's a little extreme of a view, isn't it?" she asks. He sighs. "I wish I was exaggerating. I believe the eventual plan is to destroy mankind. If it were terrorism, there would be public demands and accepting responsibility for this. If there was a race war or culture war, not everyone would be dead. This was a quiet extermination done in a manner to ensure that a quarantine was set in place and anyone responsible somehow escaped before we got here. Whatever caused this has moved on to one or maybe more places like this. What if it were sent to Earth, she asks. Mike nods. Maybe that's the eventual plan, but first gets tested up here. Besides, a quarantine of the entire planet would be difficult, and those responsible would be unable to hide for long once the violence broke out. Maybe the end game will be to drive mankind mad on Earth and solve the population problem for good. She shudders. You've been watching some bad movies, Mike. You're reaching with your theory. I hope you're wrong and the infection died here. Mike shakes his head. I wish that were true, but this was executed too well. I guess I can keep going. We're only at like about 11 minutes.
Yeah, keep going.
You think so?
Yes.
Because then we get into, yeah, okay. All right, okay. Catherine isn't aware of when she fell asleep, but the sound of something ringing wakes her up. She looks for the source of the noise and finds it's communication. Though she isn't sure she should accept incoming call, she nevertheless knows how to work a video phone and answers. The face displayed on the screen, she doesn't know it. Hi, she says uncertainly. Where's Mike or Tanya? The elderly man on the screen asks. They're doing a sweep of Arcology 443. I can get you to call them back when they're done here. And who are you exactly? I'm Catherine Dorian. Who are you? You're from Arcology 443? Yes, and who are you? I'm glad you survived the chaos there. I assume they've done a full scan on you to make certain you're not infected with whatever caused this devastation. She shudders. She'd never considered an infection that might be inside her. She has a flashback to the rage in Jensen's eyes and had a horrible feeling the beast could be lying dormant inside of her as well. So I could phrase that way, way better. Yeah, I really could. I apologize to people who've bought the book. I can phrase it way better. Go ahead and send your copy to me and I'll go ahead and fix it with a Sharpie. I don't know if I've been scanned. I mean, in that chaos in the middle of all that, anything could have happened. It's kind of a blur to me. She lies. She remembers every moment vividly and can't recall Mike or Tanya scanning her. She's lying in case that would cause her rescuers any problems. She's been enough trouble for them already. The man scowls. Okay, so tell them to call HQ and let them know we're hearing disturbing reports from Arcology 1237 regarding Hector Cruz. Catherine's shuddering again. The former leader of Central America, Hector Cruz? Yes, that one. What happened? Normally I wouldn't tell you, that's classified. But since Mike will tell you anyway, I'll let you know. Because Mike just tells people stuff. Apparently he had a violent moment and had to be shot by law enforcement there. We're going to run a full-scale investigation, but we may need to look at a quarantine there if these reports escalate beyond this incident. We have conflicting reports coming out of there. I lived through this, sir. This is how it started for us, and then we were isolated. The old man nods. I'm trying to avoid this happening again. Catherine smirks. Looks like the quarantine did a hell of a job for us, so why not try it again? Maybe you're approaching this wrong. I know it can be hard to figure out things under these circumstances, but you may want to think outside the box here. The old man sighs. I don't take advice from civilians. If we have to destroy Arcology 1237, that's a route I'll take. I consider that a last resort, but it's on the table as it was for your now dead home there. We will not allow this to continue on further. Catherine lowers her head. Right, bomb it if you can't figure it out. I get it. She says and she ends the call there. She stands and makes her way to the window. She looks out at the dead Arcology that was her home and wonders what is wrong with a military that is willing to blow up the next one rather than actually want to fix the problem before it gets to that point. Did you want me to do the other scene as well? We're at 13 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. She makes me work a lot more than I normally. A lot of my videos, she's just off screen going, come on, go. I'm like, but I've already done too many videos today. And she's like, nah, you haven't.
It's so not.
And then, yeah. She has a poking stick that she keeps just below. That's why you don't see my legs, because she pokes me with the stick. Yeah, see, she knows. She's telling you it's a hockey stick. I don't think the thumbtacks are necessary, but, she just tapes them to the end of the stick and then pokes me with it. It's kind of mean. Mike finishes up the sweep of the observation deck and heads back to the elevator. Tanya's close behind, but she seems interested in Mike right now. More interested in Mike right now than the crime scene. What is it? He asks, well aware he's being watched. Well, you did a metal sweep for weapons back there. I'm wondering how. I have a detector in the same device I run medical scans with, he explains with a shrug. She nods. I just never heard of that before. I'm sure the technology exists, but there was metal in that room and you said there were no weapons. You scanned for something specific. You even described the weapon that was used, and I never heard of anything doing that, so I wonder what's going on here. Mike pauses. And then he lies. It's a new technology. I believe those weapons were out there and I was scanning for a certain type of metal. She nods. See, a lot of people back there were wearing jewelry and had other metal devices on their person. I even saw a man with a handgun after you asked me. Yet you stated the weapon you were looking for was not there. Your device does a very specific scan, and I find that curious. Mike looks at the level numbers as they slowly pass and crawl towards the floor where their ship is docked. I'm really glad you're playing detective, but we need to focus on the danger at hand here and not on my findings. Just know my findings are sound. We can go from there, okay? He says, looking her in the eyes as he finishes that thought. Who are you exactly? I know there's something different with you, and there has been since we became partners. I just can't put a finger on what it is. I'm Mike Fergus, your partner, he answers flatly. The threat is the story here, not anything to do with me. We have to work together to prevent this from happening again. He steps out of the elevator and quickly makes his way to the airlock with Tanya close behind, and he's well aware she hasn't taken her eyes off of him. I hope you're right, Mike Fergus, she says as they enter the airlock and prepare to head off into the void yet again. Mike secures the door to the arcology and takes a final look at the side of the massive structure, shaking his head. It's become a giant tomb to 500,000 people. I don't know how Central will deal with this when we inform them. Blow it up, that's my guess, she says, shaking her head. They won't blow up an arcology. That would be a publicity nightmare, he says as he opens the door to the shuttle. Catherine's waiting for him. There's another arcology going through what mine went through, and they'll blow it up if the violence spreads. Mike looks over at Tanya, who's already nodding her head. See, I really wanted to be wrong with that one. He heads into his shuttle, and Tanya closes the door while he readies his ship to detach from the dead and floating hulk in space. We can stop that from happening, ladies. How? Catherine asks, standing behind Mike with her arms folded across her chest. I hate people standing behind me like that. Can you back off a little? Which arcology did they report was having problems? Catherine takes a deep breath. I guess former Central American President Hector Cruz had to be shot after some violent outburst he had that's going to be out of every news wire on the planet. Oh, I know him, Tanya says as she takes her seat in the co-pilot's chair. I met him once. He was such a nice man, like... He wasn't the type to have any sort of violent outbursts. Like Jensen before Arcology 443, Catherine says. What number was the Arcology? 1237, Catherine says, the number ingrained into her mind. They wanted you to call headquarters. It was some old guy. Seemed like a real prick. Mike laughs. That was likely Dave. The guy's a bonehead. He has a good side, but we don't see it when he's on duty. You have good instinct about people, Catherine. It might be good to keep you around if you weren't a civilian. That said, I'm returning you to Earth. I won't risk you being harmed in a new and bad situation here. Screw that, I'm going with you, she protests. Something caused the man I love to turn into a rage monster and kill people. That same thing's starting to turn... If that same thing is now starting to turn 500,000 people into rotting... Oh, that... Okay, no, I was trying to correct something that I didn't actually get wrong. That's what I did there. that same thing is now starting to turn another 500,000 people into rotting meat. If I can help prevent that, I will. If you take me to the ground, I have nightmares the rest of my life for not saving people on 443 and then not going to 1237 to help people there. You'd be condemning me to die from a broken spirit. Mike sighs. I suddenly feel kind of guilty. He looks Catherine in the eye. I can't guarantee my ability to protect you in this situation. Can you handle a gun? For Jensen's memory, I can handle a flamethrower in one hand and a laser rifle in the other, she answers. She picks up Mike's gun from his belt and aims it at the wall. That's not a toy. Don't want a hole in the ship? That'll suck you into space, he says as he's taken back his gun. Fine then, since you're going to be difficult, you can come. I just want to be sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Mike, be honest. None of us know what we're getting ourselves into, Tanya says. Mike nods silently and then plots a course for Arcology 1237 when he hears the sound of a signaling call coming in. Mike rolls his eyes and answers, but doesn't like to look at the video. Dave Bellows, what's up? Mike, you need to get to Arcology 1237 with Tanya and deal with this before we get to the quarantine stage. I already have government types breathing down my neck to do exactly that. Yeah, Catherine told us, just relax and we'll deal with things from here. I don't want another slaughter here. The news is starting to spread panic among people, and I keep getting interview requests. I don't need this right now, he says. I get that, and we're on our way to 1237 right now. I'll let you know when we have something new to report. You may want to send a large cleanup crew to 443 or something. There's no survivors other than Catherine here. Then I want her brought in and interviewed on what happened. Mike shakes his head. Not yet, Dave. She's coming with us. Dave sighs loudly. She's not a member of Special Ops. You need to bring her here, and then you can take her wherever you want after you're done with her. Nope, we don't have time for that. Talk to you soon, Dave, Mike says as he ends the call before his boss can argue further. He continues his flight while no one says anything else. There is no telling how bad things are going to be when they reach 1237. There you go. The end of chapter 3. Nice short chapter. So yeah, the whole chapter 3. What do you think?
I've read the book before, Shannon.
I know, it's just...
I like you reading the book.
Is it different hearing me read it?
Well, yes.
So, that's
I like
okay.
you reading books, though, so.
She does. There are stories that I've read on the main channel, and a lot of it's because she bugs me to do it. The kids stories.
Yes.
The fireside stories would probably be appreciated at this time, probably if I did one on the hockey channel as well.
Absolutely.
So
we have a lot of fun hockey books that you could read.
We
have
do.
The fun little stories.
We do.
Then they're not kid ones.
No.
But we do have some more kid books that have just fun hockey history stories. That would be a good idea.
Yeah. So
I like that idea.
I'll think about it.
You should bug Shannon to do that.
I'll think about it. I will think about it. But anyways, there you go. So another chapter's done in the book. Nice quick chapter. Once you get into all the dialogue, the pages pass a lot faster. And once I'm reading the dialogue, it's probably even faster than that, where I'm like, yeah, I'm skipping that line, and I'm going to skip that word, and this one's not right, and I apologize. So yeah, what I've learned through this is that I would definitely need, A, the professional editor help, and B,
it does need an edit.
Needs a lot of time.
It needs an edit. Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you guys for everything. Again, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and we will talk to you again soon. I will probably do this every day, I would think.
Yes.
At this point in time.
It's not like we're doing something else.
This is true.
Something else inhibiting our schedule.
Self-isolation.
No, what was it? Somebody
new
was
thing.
asking. The boy's grandma was asking if she could do a video call in the next few days. And I was like, yeah, our schedule's pretty open, so whenever works for you, we're available.
This is true.
Which usually we're really busy, and
especially on a Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. We have a half-hour period. Now we're all open now.
Yeah, it's pretty wide open.
Schedule's open.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys again soon and probably often.